You are listening to the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast with your host, Aaron Zamzow.
Hey everybody, Aaron Zamzow here again with the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast. Thanks for listening. Today, I'm going to go off on a rant a little bit. I've been answering some emails and talking to some people around, obviously now with coronavirus, a lot of Zoom messages and a lot of Zoom meetings. But today, I just wanted to do a little talking FRF, talking Fire Rescue Fitness. This is a rant, a little bit of an overview of just some things that I hear about in firehouses. And so the topics of the day are chest and triceps, meal plans and keto, and mobility. Now, where this came from, again, I run firerescuefitness.com. We also have a Facebook group and a Facebook page where I get a lot of comments. You get a lot of questions. You get a lot of great conversations. And I can't thank you guys enough for participating in all that stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, all the things that you hear going around firehouses when it comes to fitness. First and foremost, chest and triceps. Let me tell you this. I don't care if you can bench press 425 pounds. If you're benching 425 pounds or pushing 425 pounds off of your chest on the fireground, when you're on the fireground, you got a lot of other stuff going on that you got to worry about, right? That means the crap has hit the fan, something's collapsed on you. And at that point, you have other things to worry about. And you also hopefully have other people coming to help you. So as far as bench press is concerned, I don't think that it's actually a functional exercise for the fire service. Now, I know some of you are like, whoa, come on, dude. I mean, it helps build shoulder strength and, like pec strength. But that motion, think about it. You're in a fixed plane, basically. You're in a fixed position, laying on your back and pushing something straight up, which is in a fixed bar. But it leads really to a bigger topic, which is, chest and triceps. And my question that I ask a lot of people are, why are you doing just chest and triceps? And let's go back to the chest and triceps, back and biceps, skipping leg day, because we all know you do that. And then arms on Thursday, Friday is abs, and then maybe a little cardio Saturday, Sunday's a recovery day. Now, I've been in gyms since I was, 16 years old, been working in them since I was 18, which is over 25 years. And I see it all the time. You see every Monday is chest and triceps day and it's packed. Every Tuesday is back and biceps. Every Wednesday, the gym is empty because it's leg day. And my question for you as a fire rescue athlete, when do you ever just isolate chest and triceps? When do you ever just isolate legs or back and biceps? And so this is more about questioning you and your thought process behind your fitness. Okay? Now, I'm not saying chest and triceps doing, different muscle groups on different days isn't advisable or it's okay to do that. But I think you can get better. And honestly, we actually have a program called the FRF Super Strong where we do that. We do chest and triceps, back and biceps, legs. You do then crew workout day, which is interval training with fireground-based movements, crawling, stepping, climbing, dragging, pushing, pulling. Then you do a recovery workout, and then you do a full body workout, and then you do a day off, and then you start it all over again. So we actually combine full body training with body part training, right? But most people don't do that. They go down and say, hey, buddy, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing chest and tris. Okay, I'll go down and work out with you, do chest and tris. And here we push, as heavy as a weight as possible in a non-functional plane of motion or a non-functional pattern. If you want to take your chest game to the next level, do 2 dumbbells, press one, hold one. So press one dumbbell, and then at the same time, you're holding the other one straight. Bring your feet up off the floor and really challenge your core and your shoulders. That works shoulder stability, that works core stability, that works balance, which is all the things that you utilize or need on the fireground. But brute strength in one plane and a fixed dimension or fixed, bar is not necessarily functional. And so when I see guys doing chest and tris and I hear those conversations, back of my mind goes, why? Right? Now, if you just say, well, hey, that's what keeps me going right now, and that's what I need because back and biceps motivates me, I can't argue with that. And I could say, okay, go for it. Right. But in the big scheme, in the big picture, don't just think about isolating muscle groups. And a lot of times, look, you go back to that because that's what you did in high school, or that's what you did in college, or that's what your buddy did, or that's what, someone else taught you, or that's what you got from bodybuilding.com or whatever it is. Now, that's not the best thing for you as a firefighter, as an EMT, as a medic. Trust me, I've been studying it for 25 years. Full body functional training at some point within your programming is applicable. When you're lifting a cot, you're using legs, biceps, traps, back, core, obviously, right? When you're advancing hose line, you're using your obliques, your core, your shoulders, your chest, your back, your legs to stabilize. So you got to think about that. What fireground movements do we do? And am I helping, or am I functionally addressing those within firehouse gyms or within, my own workouts? So, so chest and tries, right? I hope in the back of your head you start to think about, okay, why am I doing that? And what am I doing on the next day? Obviously, even push, pull, and legs. I'm not a big fan of it because you don't just use legs. You don't just do pushing. You just don't do pulling. If it's part of a bigger picture, so let's say, for instance, you did like what we have the FRF Ultimate Athletes, a 60-day program, full body, 3 times a week, interval training within there. You're working fireground movements. It's a well-rounded, one of our most popular workout programs. You do that for 60 days, and then you want to go back to your chest and tricep, back and bicep for another 60 days. I'm okay with that, okay? Because you addressed some functional or dysfunctional parts of your workouts with the Ultimate, and then you go into, maybe back to what you're used to, right? And then 60 days later, go back to full body again. And that's kind of how you address your workouts and your training like an athlete would. When I was working with NFL guys, we had the luxury of doing, you had your preseason, you had your in-season, you had your postseason, and then you had like some specialty work that we would do based on, a lot of the feedback that they got from the coaching staff and the ownership. Some guys needed to work on their first step. Some guys needed to work on their power. Some guys needed to work on their top speed. So we would address that within certain timeframes. But as first responders, as firefighters, as fire rescue athletes, every day is we're on season. So you have to try to periodize and look at your training a little bit differently. So my whole point to this chest and triceps argument or rant is to step back and look at your workout as a whole and how that either helps you. And in some cases, doing just chest and tries, to be honest, can hinder you because you start to develop, tight pec muscles. You start to get shoulder injuries because you don't address the functionality of, what we do. So, next time you go down to do a chest and tricep, think about that, right? And think about your exercise and your fitness as a whole. The next thing I want to talk about is meal plans and keto diet. Some of the things you hear about, when you're talking at the kitchen table, okay? With FRF, we do have a mock meal plan. Now, I'm not big on saying on day 1, you need to eat this, day 2, you need to eat this, day 3, you need to eat this, because I'm not teaching you anything. All I'm telling you is this is what I want you to eat. And my belief is that for nutrition to be lasting and to make lasting positive changes, you need to educate yourself on rights and wrongs or what works for you. And so what we do with FRF, our approach is more holistic. We teach you about, things that you need to do. Incorporate vegetables with every meal. Incorporate a protein with every meal. We teach you about portion control and how to measure portions based off of, your hand, finger size, all that stuff. So it's more about educating, and meal plans to me are just a quick fix. You could follow them for 2 or 3 weeks, but then all of a sudden when that meal plan's not in front of you, how do you know what are good choices? Okay. So I don't endorse meal plans or do a 60-day meal plan system because I don't believe they work. And I've never seen them work. I'll be 100% honest. Okay. If I say you need to eat a protein, you should know, okay, I know lean chicken, lean beef is a good source. Or There's vegan proteins out there. There's soy proteins. There's tofu. There's options there because we teach you about that. Now, if you've just been following meal plans, you'll be like, well, I don't know. They always tell me either this or that, or, fish is another great lean source of protein. Vegetables and fruits, which fruits are a little bit better for you, which have higher fiber, lower sugar. All right. We try to teach you these things. But when somebody says, oh, I'm following keto, now I did an article on that, and I think keto for some people is really, really good. I think it's also can be something that springboards your weight loss and helps you. But I'll tell you this, if you're following keto, you also have to know what the hell you're eating. And to me, that's key. That's why keto starts to work, is because number one, it cuts the sugars out. And number two, it forces you to start reading labels. So to me, those are two things that you could do without doing keto. And that's something that meal plans don't force you to do, which is why with FRF, we have great guidelines. We have recipes, and then we give you like, hey, here's what a sample meal plan would look like. Here's what a sample day would look like. Here's what another day would look like. But we don't endorse you to follow that to a T. I'd like you to make your own decisions and really educate yourself on what to eat and what choices you can make. And to understand, hey, you know what? Today's a cheat day. I'm all right with that because tomorrow I'm going back to the gym and I know what I'm following that up with. So, that's my take on, and I should say rant, because seems like I'm going on a rant, but I'm hoping that some of these things resonate with you. If you're listening to this, and I've gotten some great feedback from the podcast, so all of a sudden this is starting to turn into a way where I can communicate with more firefighters and EMTs and medics about these questions, right? We talked about chest and triceps, why, in meal plans, okay? Now, if you needed to kickstart your fitness and kickstart your nutrition, go for it. But in the back of your head, you should start to think and ask yourself, what am I learning here? How can this go to the next phase where I start to understand what to eat and what not to eat? Okay? So that's my second rant. My third one is mobility, right? Not just stretching, not just yoga, but mobility, working through 360 degrees, and namely the warm-up. All right, I go down to gyms, and guys, let's say you're doing a chest and tricep day, which we already talked about why you should think twice about doing that. But then how do you warm up? Well, I do a set of bench, real light. Well, how does that work? All the ranges of motion of the shoulders. How does that, force your low back to get more mobile? And so what I talk about, or what I'm really getting at, is mobility needs to be 360 degrees, and you need to work movement patterns that increase range of motion, increase blood flow, and then also that transfers to performance on the fire ground. Because look, on the fire ground, we're on unstable conditions. Like here in Wisconsin, it's snow. Sometimes you're stepping on one foot trying to move a patient because they fell between the toilet and the bathtub again. And right, hopefully you got a chuckle out of that, because it seems like everybody's falling off the toilet between the bathtub and the toilet. Okay, that's the nature of our game here, right? And then you got to carry them down steps. You got to do a blanket carry. And so that's not sometimes we work in these unstable planes. So you need to train your body to be mobile within these different planes. And then you need to add core strength so that you can handle that movement. But it starts with mobility, and it starts with an active movement, right? So when you start your warm-ups, or when you start your workout, start actively. Do some prisoner squats. Do what I call Spider-Man. Some low back movements, knees side to side, some rotations. Those things help to improve your mobility, and therefore, actually, it helps to improve your neurological responses to stress and strains and to the different planes of movement. So there's a lot of stuff that correct mobility work can really transfer. And it also helps with those joints. You're not as stiff and sore, and you feel a lot more mobile. You recover faster, and as you age, I'm almost 47 right now. I feel it in the mornings, but when I get my mobility work in, it's a lot easier to face the day and the shift. And so my recommendation is start to warm up properly before you exercise, and then take some time every shift. I started to do a 10-minute yoga routine, and I could just say stretching routine. But it's really helped me to kind of center myself, get me some energy throughout my day, and just helps to reset my mind and my body. And so I'll leave a link to that 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute FRF yoga routine, and I highly recommend doing it. I'll also try to leave a link to active warm-ups in this particular blog, or I'm sorry, into this podcast here. And that leads back to the Fire Rescue Fitness blog and website. So please take a look at those. And I'd love to get some feedback. Those are just my 3 points of the day. Chest and tri, meal plan mobility, FRF rant of the day. Please let me know if you agree with me. Maybe I'm onto something or I'm on something. I love to have these conversations and I love to answer questions. So please reach out to me any way you can. There's a lot of ways to do it. firerescuefitness.com, and the contact FRF is the best way. Well, I'll leave you with that. Please stay safe, stay positive, and get FRF, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast with your host, Aaron Zamzow. Please tune in again soon for more fitness tips for fire rescue athletes.